This is the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome in another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com. Like the announcer said, I'm Brandon Baney. That guy is Sean Kane. We are breaking down Districts 5 and 6 week in, week out. We are recording this on Thursday afternoon, October 20th. You might be thinking, gee, that's kind of late in the week to be doing this, fellas. Usually, the podcast is already published by Thursday. Well, I was busy. All right. So back off.
It is what it is. There's a lot going on. There's lots of stuff. And IdahoSports.com's got it all covered. So, that's the best part of it is you can just go click on IdahoSports.com and you've got soccer, volleyball, football, indoor acrobatics. I think they added in the fall too. I don't know, but we've got everything.
Yes. So you can tell I'm a little stressed. I'm a little busy these days, but let's get to it. I guess the one upside on recording this on Thursday is, hey, state soccer started today. We can talk about some stuff that's only going to be current for the next 20 minutes. And then whenever anybody's listening to this tomorrow, they're going to go, oh yeah, I already knew that. But I mean, hey, let's talk about what's happened at state soccer today. Let's start on the boys side. 5A tournament, Thunder Ridge and Madison both competing. Madison hasn't played yet as we're recording this, but Thunder Ridge got a nice 2-1 win over Bora. So the Titans are going to play Boise in the semifinals. It'll be a tough matchup, but I think the Titans are up to the task.
Yeah, Thunder Ridge has been a tough team all year. Expect that to be a great semifinal matchup.
Yeah, definitely. 4A boys, you had Idaho Falls also advanced today over Canyon Ridge 3-2. So the Tigers are in the semis. They're going to play, to me, kind of the favorite overall, and that's Caldwell. But if anybody can knock off the Cougars, Idaho Falls certainly is up to the task.
Yeah, Idaho Falls has been solid all year, but Caldwell is just kind of like the boys soccer powerhouse as of late.
Definitely. Century is playing Blackfoot as we're recording this, so nothing to report there.
In OT.
It's in overtime. Okay, scoreless in overtime or?
Scoreless in overtime. Second overtime.
Oh, boy, we're running out of time.
PKs. It's going to be PKs, probably.
Well, we've had some PKs already today that we'll get to on the girls' side, especially that were pretty devastating. So let's talk about 3A boys. American Falls, the 7 seed. They don't just knock off the 2 seed McCall Donnelly. They dominate 5-1, Sean. So,
and I believe one player for American Falls had 4 or 5 goals in that match. I believe the last name was Lopez.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's just what we saw last year in the 3A soccer is that, those 7 and 2s or 1 and 8s aren't necessarily, the numbers aren't telling the whole picture. And, that's why you have to play the match.
Yeah, in fact, East Idaho, Sean, at the 3A boys tournament is 3-0, and there were only 3 teams. They all won. American Falls beat McCall Donnelly 5-1. Sugar Salem beat Bonners Ferry 6-3, and Teton and Timberlake went to penalty kicks. It was this 0-0 game through 2 overtimes, and Teton won on PKs 3-1. So you've got American Falls and Sugar in one semifinal. Teton will play the winner of Wendell and Kimberly in the other semifinal. It was Teton versus Sugar last year in boys. Could be headed to a similar showdown.
Yeah, conference matchup. It'd be fun to watch. I don't know if those teams want it. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Let's talk girls real quick. 5A Highland. Oh, devastating. They had a back and forth match with Rocky Mountain today, the Highland Girls. They had the lead very late in the second half. They took the lead with, I think, less than 10 minutes to play. They were up 3-2. Rocky got the equalizer with less than 5 minutes to play. It was tied 3-3. It went to overtime, went to the second overtime, came down to penalty kicks. Rocky ends up winning 4-2. Just a devastating loss for Highland.
Yeah, as I was watching follow along on Twitter, they were up at the very end, and Rocky Mountain got the score just right there. And then, as we've talked about all season, PKs come up, you kind of throw everything out the door, and it was 4-2 in PKs, and that's a close PK. And oh man, just hard. But Highland will still play. They're going to play Timberline in the consolation, and they came back with a trophy last year, and they'll be looking to do the same again this year. And that's no easy feat, no matter what.
Yep, Coach Rose and the girls will be keeping an eye on their fortunes tomorrow morning. Thunder Ridge also playing later on tonight or today, I guess. They're going to play Lake City, the number 1 seed overall, defending 5A champs as well. Nothing to report there. 4A girls, we have Pocatello and Bonneville matching up. Is that match still going, Sean?
It is 1-1 in the second.
Okay, and then after Pocatello plays, then Shelley will play Bishop Kelly. Those are the 2 teams from East Idaho, so nothing to report there. And then 3A girls in overtime, the American Falls ladies also moving on to the semis. They defeat Buell in overtime 2-1. So it didn't go to PKs. It did go to extras, and American Falls gets the win. Teton, unfortunately, was knocked out by the defending champs from Fruitland 3-2. So American Falls will play the community school, the Cutthroats from Sun Valley, tomorrow in the semifinals. Teton will play the loser of Coeur d'Alene Charter and Timberlake in the loser out battle. So that's what's going on there in soccer. Let's shift gears to district volleyball, Sean. It's been like nonstop action in volleyball. Some bids have already been clinched.
Games every day.
Multiple ones. And so and we can't put the score and the schedule in because some of it's like, okay, the winner of this game now plays the loser of this one. And so it's like
playing games
in real time, because some teams will play, 3 matches in a night potentially. So it's a very fluid thing. So I get emails occasionally, hey, this bracket's not updated. Yeah, I mean, we're only trying to track down like 50 different volleyball scores from around the state. And
if they go five games, right? Sometimes those games aren't, then they play another one, right? And then so sometimes it's not done until 10 o'clock at night. And so it's hard to get all those scores.
But we have all the brackets updated as of anything that happened today. We haven't put in yet, but through last night, we are updated and good to go. So I'm going to share my screen. We'll whip through these brackets. And again, if you're watching the video version of this podcast on IdahoSports.com's YouTube channel or Facebook page, you can follow along there. Maybe make the video full size so it's easier to read the brackets. If you're listening audio only, that's all right. We have the brackets on our homepage at IdahoSports.com as well. Let's just start with the 5As, where you've got Madison in the district championship match tonight. Highland will play Thunder Ridge. Actually, they should be playing right now as we're recording this. Highland and Thunder Ridge playing. The winner of that will take on Madison for the district title. Whoever wins would have to beat Madison twice. District champ gets to go to state. Loser has to play in a play-in match.
And all I'm going to say is one team from that conference that doesn't make it to state, that's just going to be tough because those are Madison, Thunder Ridge, and Highland are all, I believe, in the top 5 in max preps. So just a brutal conference and a big match going on right now between Thunder Ridge and Highland, as Thunder Ridge got the best of Highland in the earlier round.
Yes, 3-1 in the opening round back on Tuesday night. And then, shouts to Rigby as well. The Trojans, the 4 seed over here, they pushed Highland to the brink. Highland won in 5, 3-2. So, Rigby was no slouch this year either, as they went 2 and out. So
yeah, I saw Rigby play this year, and I think I said this in a previous. All 4 of these teams could compete at state easily.
Yeah, definitely. So that's the 5A. Let's see what's going on in 4A. Let's start in District 6, the High Country Conference. You've got Bonneville, the 1 seed overall in the district championship match. Idaho Falls and Blackfoot are playing right now. Blackfoot, the 5 seed, on a little bit of a hot streak here. They've knocked out the 4 seed Hillcrest. Well, I guess Skyline did that, but and then Skyline, the 3 seed, went down to Blackfoot last night. And so it's Blackfoot and Idaho Falls. The winner of that will play Bonneville for the district championship. District 6 gets 2 teams to state. So whoever wins this battle between Idaho Falls and Blackfoot will be going to state along with Bonneville.
Yeah, just again, another very tough conference. And I think all those teams knew that going in, and it'll be interesting to see that Idaho Falls Blackfoot match, who comes out of that one.
And kind of an underreported story, but Bonneville's, I mean, they're not young, but they've been relying on some young players.
Freshmen, I believe, right?
Yeah, freshmen and sophomores. So, Bonneville could be around for a while. Like that's what everybody else wanted to hear, right?
Yeah, it's already been a while, I think.
Yes, they have. They've had a very impressive run. Let's go to 4A District 5. This is where it's that 3-team affair between Century, Preston, Pocatello. Let's see. Pocatello and Preston played, and Preston won 3-1, right? It was
No, it was 3-2.
3-2.
Yeah,
Okay.
Preston won in 5, back and forth battle. Then after that, Preston just didn't have a lot left in the tank against Century, and Century won that one 3-0. And later on today, Preston and Pocatello play again, which, you know, all their coaches are super excited for in talking to them.
Oh yeah, you gotta love the 3-team conference, isn't it? Just so much fun.
Yeah.
Century awaits the winner, and again, they would have to beat the Diamondbacks twice tonight to be the district champs. Only the one bid to state, so it's pretty cutthroat. But I think Century is still the favorite here.
Yeah, they've had a good showings against these teams, and Breanne Robinson's a really good coach, and they've got the team ready to go, and they have Addie Butler, who has multiple Division I scholarship offers, and she knows how to kill it, I guess is the best way to put it.
The Butler did it, right? That's what they always say when there's a kill. Yeah, the Butler always with the kill. That's the podcast title. Butler with the kill.
And she couldn't be the nicest person either, so it's kind of funny. You know, she hits the ball the hardest out of anyone there, but she would be like, she'd give you the coat off her back. It's just super nice young lady.
She'll absolutely demolish you and then give you a hand to help you out after you. Yeah, for sure. All right, 3A volleyball, District 6. How about South Fremont? The Cougar fans up in South Fremont, up in I want to say Ashton. I know that's not right though. I'm having a brain cramp today, Sean. St. Anthony. Thank you. Oh, it's been a long day. All right. South Fremont, the 2 seed. They knock out the juggernaut that Sugar Salem's been this dominant 3A volleyball program the past several years. They beat Sugar 3-1 on Saturday night. They beat Sugar again 3-2 on Tuesday night. Sugar beat South 3-2 to set up this fifth and final match where Sugar had to beat South Fremont twice, and the Diggers had nothing left in the tank. South Fremont sweeps them 3-0. South Fremont, your district champ. Now Sugar Salem has to win not 1 but 2 state tournament play-in games. The first one will be tonight against the second place team from District 5, which is Marsh Valley. So let's look at that District 5 bracket where Snake River, the number 1 seed, had no problems. They roll to the District 5 championship. Marsh Valley takes second. So you've got Marsh Valley and Sugar Salem tonight at Skyline. And the winner of this is still not at state. The winner of this then has to play the third place team from District 3 in a second state tournament play-in game. So
kind of just a wild bracket. I don't know if I've seen one with a double play-in before.
Kind of like a double play-in. It's like a double middle finger to the East.
I mean, I like that they don't have to have them on the same day, because a lot of times those volleyball all happens on the same day, and I'm glad that there's at least a day, a couple days, or at least a day in between for those matches.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's just interesting. So I really don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm leaning Sugar here, but if Marsh Valley won, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me either. So, and again, The winner of that plays third place from District 3. Let's take a look now at what's going on in 2A. Salmon is hosting the Nuclear Conference tournament, which is kind of cool. You've got Ryrie. They're kind of the favorites, the number 1 seed. They are in the district championship match. North Fremont was playing Salmon today. Whoever did this bracket couldn't even fill it in all the way. This is
that it just came in about an hour ago that North Fremont won 3-1 over Salmon. So North Fremont advances and Salmon is eliminated.
Okay, so North Fremont playing Firth then, and the winner of that will have to play Ryrie. And again, they'd have to beat Ryrie twice, but 2 bids to state out of the Nuclear Conference. Whoever wins between North Fremont and Firth will be going to state along with Ryrie. And really, Salmon, North Fremont, Firth all kind of beat up on each other during the regular season. So it could go really any direction. The parity in the league was pretty good outside of Ryrie. District 5, the Southeast Idaho Conference. I don't get it. In the coaches' polls all year long, Westside has been ranked ahead of Malad. Malad swept the regular season series, and we're still ranked higher in the coaches' poll. Malad swept the regular season series, and Westside was still ranked higher than Malad in the Max Preps rankings. And I'm scratching my head going, I don't get it. Maybe I do now because Westside beat Malad last night 3-1 for the first victory of the year over the Dragons. That put Westside into the district championship. Malad had to turn around right away and play Bear Lake. They won that 3-0, which sets up tonight's district championship. Westside and Malad. Malad would have to win twice over the Pirates. Winner gets to go to state. Loser goes to a play-in match where they will play the second place team from District 6. That is not right. They're playing somebody. I think it's third place from District 3 as well.
Okay, that would make more sense. Yeah. So yeah, just kind of a wild. But Westside and Malad are both dominant, very dominant volleyball programs, and both I would imagine find a way to the state tournament.
Yeah, certainly. Where Westside would be ranked a higher seed than Malad would be, again, because it's I don't know. It's just interesting the way the Max Preps rankings work there. Let's see. No, it is 5B, 6B. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and look at that. Then I guess second place does not automatically go to state from District 6. So whoever wins between Ryrie, North Fremont, or Firth, whoever gets second will have to play either Malad or Westside in a play match. That's a tall order. I'm with you. I think District 5 gets 2 teams to state. 1A D1, Sean. Upset City, the Grace Grizzlies, the number 2 seed, win the district. They knock out Butte County, who had been a top 5 team in the coaches poll and Max Preps all season long. They win 3-1 on Monday night. They won 3-2 last night. What does Grace get for their troubles? A play-in match. They don't even get to go to state yet. They have to play Victory Charter, the third place team from District 3. I think Grace wins this match pretty easily. It'll be on Saturday in Twin Falls, and then the Grizzlies will take their rightful spot at state.
Yeah, that's crazy for me to think that you win district championship and still don't get a spot in state, but I don't make the rules.
Another middle finger to the East, I'm telling you. Just saying. Yeah, very interesting for sure. But congrats to Grace.
Yeah. Coming
through and really, I thought, winning convincingly. I went back and watched the match last night against Butte County. And even though it was a 5-set, thriller 3-2, Grace was in command most of the way there. All right. And then finally, the Rocky Mountain Conference, 1A D2, this 9-team juggernaut. You've got Rockland and Mackey in the championship tonight at Water Springs. So check this out. The Rocky Mountain Conference last year held their district tournament at Hillcrest. And that was kind of the agreement again this year. They were going to hold the tournament at Hillcrest. And then somewhere along the way, Hillcrest said, no, we're not hosting the tournament, but that got lost in the communication somewhere. So like the Rocky Mountain Conference, called the school like 2 weeks ago. And then they were like, oh no, we're not having the tournament here. So they kind of had to scramble and put together a plan to get this tournament hosted. And if that wasn't bad enough, the IHSAA told this conference that they would get 2.5 bids to state and there would be a play-in game, which changes the layout of the bracket, right?
More matches, a lot of matches.
Well, I mean, if it's 2.5, then your third place team doesn't necessarily have to challenge back. It can be just, you took third, you go to the play-in match. Then all of a sudden the IHSAA comes to them like 2 weeks before districts and goes, oh yes, we told you bad info. You only get 2 bids to state. They're like, we already made the bracket. We got to redo the whole bracket. It's really been an ordeal for our smallest schools in East Idaho. I feel really bad, but they've all done an awesome job of kind of adjusting on the fly. And really it's a shame because the top 4 seeds, and really, I guess the top 5, Rockland, Mackey, Grace Lutheran, Leadore, and Water Springs, all are state tournament worthy teams in my eyes. Only 2 get to go. It's Rockland and Mackey for the championship tonight. Water Springs knocked out Grace Lutheran, the 3 seed, Tuesday night, 3-0. They'll play Leadore tonight. And then the winner of that will play the loser of Rockland Mackey for that second bid to state on Saturday. Rockland, of course, is the preeminent program, and they're dominant. But I don't know, Mackey, Leto, or Water Springs. It could be any of the three.
Yeah, I mean, all kind of coming on hot right at the right time, right? I probably would have picked Grace Lutheran at the start of this, so to see Water Springs come out as a 5 seed, kind of some good stuff there.
Yeah, definitely. And like even props to Taylor's Crossing, right? Taylor's Crossing knocked out North Gem 3-1. That's a good win for an Eagles program that's still kind of building. So, I mean, yeah, there was some crazy stuff going on there behind the scenes and on the actual bracket. So that's what volleyball's been up to. All right, let's talk football now, where we are into the final week of the regular season, Sean. And, you know, it's kind of, you know, in most of the classifications, the playoff scenarios are pretty simple. You know, in 5A football, Highland has clinched the conference. Even if they lost to Thunder Ridge on Friday, at worst, they would be tied with the winner of Madison Rigby, and they already beat that team head-to-head. So Highland's got it. Highland gets the first round bye. They get a home playoff game. Sets up really nicely for the Rams. Now you've got Rigby and Madison playing in a game that decides the second auto bid. Madison needs to win it to get to state. There's no way Madison gets an at-large bid. Rigby could get an at-large bid with the loss, but I know they would love to just win this thing outright and earn it. Yeah,
and it would be crazy if Rigby was an at-large bid. Like, you don't want to be that team, like, to get Rigby in the first round, right? That's all I'm thinking. But Madison, you know, Madison found a way to beat Rigby last year when I would say many of us didn't think they would, and Madison played Highland pretty close last week, 21-28. Highland wins. And Madison's just that team towards the end of the season finds ways to win and gets to the playoffs.
You know, if Rigby were to lose that game, they'd probably get the very last seed into the playoffs. You know where they'd have to go for the first round? Madison. How fun would that be? A little rematch.
And they already have a little bit of a rivalry, right? I mean, they're very close. The stadiums, you know, who's got a nicer stadium kind of comes up sometimes. But yeah, really fun games.
Definitely. So you look at Madison and their quarterback, Ben Dredge, and he runs the ball really well. Like, you know, how did Rigby get in trouble against Highland? Really, it was Drew Hymas, Highland's quarterback, making big running plays and also some pretty gutsy throws at the end of the game. Ben Dredge runs the ball better than Drew Hymas, but Drew Hymas is the superior passer. So if Rigby can keep Dredge contained running and make Madison try to win through the air, I think that's a formula for success for the Trojans. And conversely, if Madison can get even just a little bit out of their passing game to take some of that pressure off Dredge, then I think, you know, they're looking pretty solid. But I like Rigby overall in this game, and, you know, we'll just have to wait and see. 4A football. You've got a pair of contests on IdahoSports.com Friday night, Sean, for the District 5 and District 6 championships, respectively. Up in District 6, it is Skyline taking on Shelley. Both teams lost last week. Definitely opened some eyes around the state. You know, Shelley dropped a game to Hillcrest. I believe it was 22-10, 23-10. And Bonneville knocked off Skyline in a low-scoring game as well. So both of these teams licking their wounds a little bit.
Yeah, 16-14, Bonneville won. And I know that was the game on the drive home from Sugar, that was the game everyone was kind of like, is that right? Is that score right? But, you know, Bonneville, we've had the opportunity to talk to Kevin Kemp, their head coach, a couple times. And, you know, what he told me is he expected them to win all week. And that's kind of been his mindset. And if he didn't expect them to win, Jacob Perez expected to win for that team, because that guy, he had interceptions. He ran a touchdown in. He threw a touchdown. He got the game-ending interception, and just crazy. And what a great win for Bonneville. But with that being said, Skyline's still in the driver's seat of that conference championship against Shelley, and we've had opportunities to see Shelley, and Shelley sometimes looks like a team you can't beat, and sometimes the team that can get beat. So it really sets up for a pretty good matchup there for that conference championship.
Yeah, so here's the scenarios. I think 4 of the 5 teams from District 6 or 5 of the 6 are pretty comfortably in. That would be Skyline, Shelley, Blackfoot, Hillcrest, and Bonneville. I think you can take it to the bank. Those 5 teams are in the playoffs, just a matter of where you get seated. Idaho Falls kind of fighting for their playoff lives. In fact, if the playoffs started today, Idaho Falls would be the first team out. So they need to get a win. They're playing Hillcrest on Friday night. If Idaho Falls gets a win, I think that bumps up their max preps rating enough that they get in. If they lose, then they're having to wait to see what else happens, because you've got Skyview playing Bishop Kelly and you've got Canyon Ridge playing Burley. And both of those teams, their opponents, Burley and Bishop Kelly, are higher max prep ranked teams than Hillcrest. So that strength of schedule, even if Canyon Ridge and Skyview were to both lose, that strength of schedule still could keep them in those last two playoff spots. So for Idaho Falls, it's simple. You win, you're in. You lose, it's going to be a nail biter, and you may not know until Saturday even if you made the playoffs or not.
Oh, come on, Brandon. You'll know Friday night. You got all the numbers ran on an Excel sheet somewhere.
Here's the problem, though.
You don't know the rating, right?
Yes. So IdahoSports.com, we're on top of it, right? Almost all the scores, 98% of the scores are in on Friday night. If you go to Max Preps on a Friday night, and I don't want to disparage the company, but because it's, they rely on fans and coaches to put in the scores, but they've got like a third of the scores put in on a Friday night. And so you can't, until all of the scores are actually put into Max Preps
to compile the rating, right?
You can't. And I assume the algorithm needs some time to crunch the numbers as well. So I would say, Saturday, you'd probably know for sure. So yeah, but for Idaho Falls, it's simple: win and you're in. Hillcrest has a lot to play for though, Sean, because if Skyline beats Shelley and Hillcrest beats Idaho Falls, Hillcrest gets second place in the conference. And with that, a top 8 seed in a home playoff game. And Shelley would then be forced to go on the road somewhere. So Hillcrest has a lot. Everybody's got a lot to play for. Blackfoot also is going to play Bonneville. There's going to be some fantastic matchups, and all 6 teams from District 6 are going to give it their best effort on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I'm just thinking, I don't want to play Hillcrest either. That's a team that's found a way to win. They're good at ball control. They can run the ball. They're a team, if they make it into the playoffs, you can't look past them. So, I mean, obviously any of the teams in District 6 are really good teams, but, throw the records out the door when some of these teams come to town, and you just got to play ball.
Yeah, for sure. And then in District 5, you've got the District 5 championship. This is the game that we're going to be on the call for. So Shelley Skyline Friday night at Ravston Stadium, live, free of charge on IdahoSports.com. And then the game we're going to be at, Sean, at Lookout Field. It's Pocatello and Century for the District 5 title. If Pocatello wins, they get a top 8 seed. They would be the number 8 seed, more than likely, but one home playoff game at least. If Pocatello loses, they're still in, I think. They still get a playoff spot. Century's got to win. There's no way Century gets an at-large bid. They have to win this game. And if they win this game, then Skyview, Canyon Ridge, Idaho Falls, 2 of those 3 teams will be out. So they're all going to be cheering for the Thunder on Friday night, hoping that Century doesn't play spoiler and steal a bid.
Yeah, I talked to Century's head coach, Ryan Fleshman. I'm like, how do you think it's going to go? And he goes, I'll tell you Saturday.
I mean, here's the deal, right? Pocatello is the favorite going in. But I will say that if Century can control the ball, keep that Pocatello offense off the field, and get some turnovers, I give them a shot. And really, Century's got nothing to put. Pocatello's a team with all the pressure on them to win and deliver, and Century can be a little looser out there. So stranger things have happened. I'm just saying. I
think it'll come down to, Pocatello's defense. I think Devin Rodriguez there, the linebacking. I think if Pocatello's defense comes out and plays how we've seen them play all year, I think it's their game to lose. So I think that will be kind of the barometer we'll be able to gear from at the start of that game.
Yeah, Pokey's front 7 versus that Century O-line could be an interesting matchup for sure, because Century's O-line still a little young, going up against an experienced front 7. Okay, 3A football. We were at Sugar last week, Sean. They took it to Teton. Sugar, I think, was motivated to come out and say, we're still the class of this league. Teton's had a nice season, but we're still the top dog. They can officially clinch the league title with a win over South Fremont Friday. Whoever wins that matchup wins the conference. All 3 of those teams are comfortably into the playoffs, though.
Yeah, we went up there and Sugar Salem's good. I don't know what else to tell you. They're, what the score won't tell you is their defense is phenomenal. They were rushing only maybe 3 guys at some points of that game and getting pressure on the quarterback, and that is a nightmare. If you can rush 3 and get pressure, it's just a nightmare. But I will tell you, Teton's got a lot of great playmakers, and they're good as well. And then South Fremont, right? We've seen them win, we've seen them lose. I mean, who knows what happens this Friday? I think that's a phenomenal matchup. I think South Fremont's got a lot of question marks, and they could probably answer those this Friday.
I think a lot of coaches in East Idaho and around the state will tell you when it comes to putting together a game plan, there's few that are better at it than South Fremont head coach Chad Hill. He's really good at coming up with a game plan to knock a team off. Now his team doesn't always execute the game plan, but in terms of like making a battle plan and how are we going to attack a team and win, he's one of the best at it. And so it'll be very interesting to see what kind of battle plan Coach Hill comes up with for the Cougars against Sugar on Friday night. All right, District 5, Snake River has clinched the district title. They are 2-0 in the league. Marsh Valley pretty much is in at that second spot. They're both into the playoffs. They're both going to be playing in the first round. Only the top 2 teams get byes. So that's pretty much what's going on there. In 2A, and 2A is getting interesting. Firth shuts out North Fremont, Sean. Second week in a row, the Huskies have been shut out. It sounds like North Fremont has just got a bad case of the turnovers. They've turned the ball over at really bad times, and because of that, they've come up empty on a couple of drives these last 2 weeks against Aberdeen and Firth, 2 teams that can control the clock and control the ball if they want to.
Yeah, 2 really good teams, Aberdeen and Firth. I mean, it's kind of, I wondered if North Fremont had any injuries or anything. I didn't hear anything, but it was kind of weird to see them go scoreless 2 games in a row. I would highly doubt that happens Friday night.
Yeah, very unusual for sure. Firth officially clinched the Nuclear Conference title with that win over North Fremont, by the way. North Fremont comfortably into the playoffs. And then you've got West Jefferson on the bubble, probably not a strong enough max preps rating to get in there. West J, unfortunately. So it looks like 2 teams from District 6 will make it. We have 3 teams for sure in from District 5 and possibly a 4th, Sean, because this league is so strong. Soda Springs, despite being 2-6, would be the last team in. And we saw this happen 2 years ago where all 5 teams from District 5 made the playoffs. So it's a strong league. And because of that strength of schedule gets boosted. And Soda Springs, they played Sugar Salem earlier this year, the best 3A team in the state. They played Firth in a non-conference. Firth or North Fremont, I can't remember now.
Firth, Snake River.
They put a challenging schedule together, and even though they've only won 2 games, they're battle tested and more than likely going to get a playoff spot. They have a pretty comfortable lead for that final at-large bid. So here's what comes down to for the conference. You've got Bear Lake beat Westside earlier this year, and then Westside beat Aberdeen on Friday night, and now Bear Lake plays Aberdeen this Friday. If Aberdeen wins, you've got a 3-way tie for first. If Bear Lake wins, then it's Bear Lake 1, Westside 2, Aberdeen 3. So,
yep, and that should be a good game as well. I'm pretty excited to see what happens with Aberdeen and Bear Lake. So, I mean, all these teams. I mean, I think we said this before. 2A, especially in East Idaho, there's just so many good teams. And then I'm not going to discredit any of the Boise teams or up north teams, but man, we've got a lot of good teams down here, and it's going to be fantastic matchups in that bracket, that state bracket. I don't think there'll be a bad game.
And again, the selection committee has the discretion to alter the first round matchups if it's too much of a travel for one team, or if it's 2 district opponents that get slotted against each other. So I really do think you could see some like District 5 versus District 6 opening round matchups. Like I could easily see an Aberdeen North Fremont rematch in the opening round of the playoffs because the 2 teams are somewhat close to each other. And that would suck that one of those teams would lose right away, but man, what a epic first round battle that would be for sure. So we'll just keep an eye on that. And ironically enough, more than likely it would be Aberdeen traveling to North Fremont, even though the Tigers beat the Huskies earlier this year because of max preps and the way that works. So that would be pretty interesting. Okay, let's take a look at 1A D1. It all comes down to this week, Sean. Grace, Butte County, winner wins the district. Loser also headed to the playoffs via an at-large bid, but a top 4 seed is on the line for the winner. Butte County had a big win over Raft River last week. Grace very quietly has gone about their business. There's not a lot of hype coming out of Grace, and that's exactly how Coach Newby wants it there in Grace. He wants a little fanfare. They'll just show up and take care of business.
Yeah, Grace is kind of like a Hillcrest to me. That's a team you just probably didn't really hear about all year, and it's just not the team you want to play in the first round. So that's another team I think that's just kind of lingering in the back, just kind of waiting to strike.
Yeah, either way, both these teams are set for the playoffs, and they should both go pretty far into the postseason. 1AD2, it all comes down to this final week. Like we talked about with the round robin of Bear Lake, Aberdeen, and Westside, it's a round robin between Rockland, Water Springs, and North Gem. So Water Springs beat North Gem 2 weeks ago. Rockland put up 70 on Water Springs last week, and now it's Rockland and North Gem playing. If Rockland wins, it's Rockland 1, Water Springs 2, North Gem missing the playoffs. If North Gem wins, you've got a 3-way tie, and I'll be honest, I never did find out how that gets settled, but I like Rockland in this matchup.
Yeah, I think it's Rockland's game to lose, but just looking at these teams and their schedule, it's kind of all over the place. But I like Rockland to come out of that one and probably be the conference champion.
Yeah, Rockland had an all-state wide receiver, Teague Matthews, who's getting Division I looks. They moved him to quarterback, and it's worked out pretty well ever since they made that switch. Rockland's offense is kind of elevated, so he's like a big 6'4" quarterback now that's just wrecking people. So
yeah, they've scored over 100 points in the last 2 games, so it's worked.
Yeah, I'd say that worked for sure. So yeah, a lot of good, compelling matchups this Friday night. And all you football fans, Friday night after the games are over, head on over to the IdahoSports.com Twitter account. We're going to do a Twitter Spaces where we basically are going to just break down the final scores, game recaps, kind of that raw reaction in real time to what happened. We're going to be doing it live from 10:30 to 11:30 Friday night. It's Twitter Spaces. If you're not familiar with the concept, think of it like a talk radio show. You do it on your phone. It's just audio. You won't see our faces, but we'll be having the conversation. You can, like a caller into Sports Talk Radio, you can call in. You don't have to have a Twitter account. To participate, you have to have a Twitter account. But if you just want to listen to the conversation, you don't have to have a Twitter account. We're going to put the link on all of our social media. And so you can tune in Friday night from, again, 10:30 to 11:30 as we have a Twitter Spaces live where we just break down, I'll kind of be updating the brackets and where I think teams might be headed and stuff. And I don't know, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was, we did it last week for the first time, and it's pretty exciting. It was nice to have, because in East Idaho, as the East Idaho guy, you're always like, we don't know anything about the North, right? And so we had the North, broadcasters from Idaho Sports, and they were giving their info on the North teams, like Sandpoint and Post Falls winning for the first time in a long time. And so you kind of get a little insight on teams you might not have heard of. So I found that very interesting, and that informal, getting the inside scoop on probably your playoff opponents. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we even had a couple of players hop on. Levi Ballison from Sandpoint, great linebacker, was on. There was a kid from one of the Boise schools. I can't remember now, but I mean, there was actual players that hopped on as well. So we got to ask them, hey, how'd the game go tonight? And they kind of, oh yeah, we got the job done, and it was really fun. So yeah, stay tuned to that Friday night, 10:30 to 11:30 on the IdahoSports.com Twitter accounts. All right, Sean, I know you've got to go. You got to go PA announce for district volleyball tonight.
Yeah, you guys got me into this broadcasting. Now everyone asks me to do stuff. Yeah, I'm going to go PA the district championship. We've got, 3 teams. Preston and Pocatello will be starting any minute now, and I'll get over there, and then I'll chime in a little bit for whoever that winner is to play Century, and it's fun. Playoff volleyball is a lot of emotion, a lot of loud noises, and it's fun.
Yeah, well, it's going to, again, keep checking back to IdahoSports.com for the latest updated brackets, not just from district volleyball, but state soccer as well. We're updating those like almost immediately after the matches go final. So keep checking back to IdahoSports.com all weekend long. All right. Thanks for tuning into the East Idaho Prepcast. Everybody enjoy the competitions this weekend. We'll see you back here next week for another edition. For Sean Kane, I'm Brandon Baney on IdahoSports.com.